I was leading my life as a teacher and enjoying what I was doing. And I developed a bacterial infection. So I went to the doctor, and the doctor prescribed a commonly used antibiotic, tetracycline. I took the tetracycline for 1 or 2 days and started developing pains in my chest, terrible pains. I thought I was having maybe a heart attack. I went back to the doctor, and the doctor checked out, no heart attack or anything like that. It's just something that happened. And about 2 weeks later, the infection returned. I went back to the doctor, and the doctor prescribed more tetracycline. I took one pill, and my life changed forever. That one pill not only developed pains in my chest, now radiating down my arms, inability to think, concentrate, fear of imminent death. It was really a momentous time. I was driven down to Scripps Research Institute, where I was put into the hospital, and doctors did a variety of tests and could not figure out what it was. They called Pfizer, the manufacturer of tetracycline. This symptom has occurred, pain and radiating down the arms and so forth. And Pfizer said, that never happens. We have never had an experience like that. So the doctors came in and said, this is just not right. But I started feeling a little better. And in the hospital, they gave me a can of Fresca to drink. I had a few sips and within seconds felt I was going to die. And the doctors finally came in to me. Oh, they called my father, and my father came as well. And they said, this happens to probably be in your daughter's head. It's all in her thinking. It's psychosomatic. It is not due to a physical situation or a drug or chemical. My father said, I know my daughter. She may be a little weird, but this is not psychosomatic. Now his scientific hat is on. I was taken home, and every day I wondered if I would live one more day. My father deducted that this reaction that I had was due to sets of enzymes that had been destroyed and knocked over like a set of dominoes. Within the ingredients of Fresca was bromolylated acetate as one of the ingredients. And it appears as if bromolylated acetate was an instant antihistamine reducer, the very thing I needed in order to stay alive due to my allergic reaction to tetracycline, which had by that time lodged in my liver. At that time, there were 6 enzymologists in our country. My father called up each one to see what could be done. And my father at one time had taught at Caltech, and one of the enzymologists was there at Caltech. And within the discussion, there was no drug at that time that could help, no pharmaceutical. So my father did a 180-degree turn because, of course, he had his own pharmaceutical industry. And he said, You have to turn your life around by eating good food. And he defined what that would be, and that made sense. And literally the next day, I opened up my kitchen cabinets and my refrigerator door, freezer, and I threw out everything that had an ite or an aid at the end of it, anything that had a preservative, etc., and started to find and purchase food that was good. I started feeling a little better, but along the way, I had a very interesting experience. I purchased some chicken, and after eating a fourth of a drumstick, was right back where I started from. Why? And found out that at that time it was a state law that all chicken grown outside of the state of California had to be dipped in a solution of tetracycline, the very drug that was lethal to me. Now, the FDA thought that, of course, the tetracycline would be cooked out and so on, and there was such a limited solution. But when you have an allergy, a profound allergy, just a tiny little bit of a substance is all that is needed to promote the reaction. During the time that I was suffering from my experiences of tetracycline, and some of my friends would come in and just be with me and support me emotionally, I had a variety of feelings, but mostly I was afraid. Would I live another day? What will I do what will happen with my daughter if I don't live? How will she survive? What will happen? What will happen with my friends and the community that I am involved in? So there was this fear, this absolute fear. But in addition, there was a resolve. I've got to turn this around. I have to make this better. I have to live. I'm too young. I must be able to do something. So there was this resolve of moving forward. So fear, resolve. I was frustrated at trying to find the right food, whole grain. And so I would go to one store and find brown rice, but they wouldn't have anything else that worked. And then I would go to another anyway. I wound up driving at various times from Santa Barbara down to San Diego to find the foods that could support my health and feel wonderful and great again, which I did. As I was turning my life around and bringing in quality products and good food, what I ate was really pretty broad-based, but with standards. So it was organic fruits and vegetables. It was only brown rice or whole grains, no white flour, nothing that was refined, no drinks such as Coca-Cola or any of the popular drinks. It was either water or real vegetable juice or juice that I had made, juicing. So what I made was so nourishing. All the nutrients were still in it. I got rid of the TV dinners. I got rid of all of the things with the artificial flavor and color and brought in only real things. From a standpoint of cooking, I was so interested in learning about cooking these items. And I read certain books. Even in those days, there were books about how to cook natural foods. And so it was fun for me to learn and cook that way. And I was fortunate in that my daughter really appreciated this kind of food. And I would make her sandwiches with whole toast or whole grain bread and so forth. And she loved it. And I found the right bakeries. I found the right sources, whether in Santa Barbara or San Diego, that could help me not only survive, but thrive. In regard to my standards, for example, organic, and of course, we have to look in the 1970s, there weren't the standards and criteria that we have now for organically grown foods. So I actually went to these tiny local farms and talked to the farmer. What do you do? How do you do it? Etc. Or I would trust a certain store that also had connections with farms in their area to pick up things. As well, there were vendors. There were sometimes tiny little farmers market or vendors that would come up and down the street with organically grown products. And one of the aspects, Michio Kushi from macrobiotic fame, I studied what he had written about macrobiotics, and there were a group of followers who followed Michio, and then I was in contact with them. And, one person would tell another, oh, this store, oh, that farm, go here, go there. So it was, you didn't pick up the phone or go on a computer and say, okay, Amazon, I want this, this, and this. It wasn't like that. Many people knew about me, and of course, as a teacher, I had given many lectures along the way due to my experience with Carnegie. And so I was asked to start to lecture about healthy foods in the Los Angeles community. And I went to different venues, churches, synagogues, different groups along the way to talk about food that you should eat. And people were fascinated. Oh, this really makes sense. How wonderful. Where do you buy it? I said, well, I have to go all over to get this food. I don't have the time. I do this. I work. I don't have the energy, etc. And one day in a lecture, a woman stood up and she said, well, why don't you open up a store that embodies everything that you're talking about? And I thought, okay, why not? And it made sense for me to do that because I realized that there was no one out there. Yes, there were little health food stores here and there. So people were out there presenting good food, but there was nothing where you could find it all. And that made so much sense because I had been there, I had experienced that. And in my whole life of growing up, whether it was climbing a tree or riding a horse, I had a couple of horses, taking care of a dog, I had certain dogs, learning how to roller skate. My parents always said, you can do this. Don't be afraid. You can do it. So when this woman said, why don't you open up a store? It was, oh, gee, that's an interesting idea. Rather than, oh, I can't go there. That'll never work. The audiences that I had when I was giving these lectures were contained a variety of people. They were mostly women because my lectures were mostly during the day, though not always. However, some were younger, some were older, some had a lot of money, but others were struggling. Others had health problems and didn't know what to do and didn't have that much money to go to a doctor. Insurance was different at that time. And so they didn't have the wherewithal to heal or to make themselves better. So I had a broad spectrum of people who had questions and statements. By the way, this was another gift to me because I experienced needs not from a lineal standpoint, but from a broad base standpoint, taking in thoughts and frustrations from a variety of different people and religions, whether it would be Jewish, Christian, you name it, Rastafari. I had it all presented to me at one time or another.